I'm Effie, this is What Effie Reads, and in this video I'm going to be talking about books that I feel like fall into the category of women's wrongs. What is women's wrongs, you might ask? Well, it's based on the kind of meme joke thing of, sure, I support women's rights, but I also support women's wrongs. So in my mind, a women's wrongs book is feminine rage. It's women doing whatever the hell they want and not caring for the consequences and being unapologetic in everything that they are doing. So we're talking the women that want that top prize and they will kill unapologetically to get the prize that they rightly deserve. We're also talking about women that go, "Dunny touch me, I will kill you." That kind of thing. And I'm just finding that recently I'm really enjoying them. So I thought, in addition to doing my best of 2023, my worst of 2023, surprises, disappointments, I thought I'd do my top 10, or at least list 10 women's wrongs books that I've read in the last year. I will say that for these lists, I've decided that I didn't want there to be any crossover, which I think is fair. Like this week, I'm talking about 50 different books, and I've read over 200 books in 2023. So these may not be the absolute pinnacle of women's wrongs of the books that I've read this year, but I feel like it's a good list of 10 books that I feel like, in my mind, encompass the women's wrongs spirit. I am also inviting anyone watching, if they know any very good, or just any women's wrongs books in general, to leave a comment down below, because I'm very much on the lookout for more books in this vein. The first book that we've got is House of Hollow by Krystal Sutherland. This is a book that it's kind of difficult to truly get into why I feel like it's a women's wrongs book without spoiling a lot of the twists and turns. But what I will say is the way that the Hollow sisters use their abilities is very unapologetic and just a delight to read them doing whatever they want, however they want. Then we've got Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This book I've put in the women's wrongs category for a very specific moment, and I can't really say very much, just that I really appreciated what this character did. And yes, 100% yes. I am now realising that it might be difficult for me to talk about these books without spoiling them, but we will continue and we will try. Then we've got The Gilda Stories by Jewelle Gomez. I will say this is probably more of the tamer end of women's wrongs, but it does open with a fantastic women's wrong, and it was a really satisfying way to open this story and introduce the reader to this character. The Fragile Threads of Power by Schwab. Again, it's a bit difficult to kind of talk about without going into spoilers, but I definitely think that this is a book that has been brewed over many years of kind of Schwab being told that her femme characters don't deserve their character arcs and that they should have died. That is something that legitimately people have said, that Lila Bard, one of the characters in the Shades of Magic series, should have died because they didn't like her. But she's no different than a lot of the other characters. This is a whole thing that I guess I probably shouldn't get into right now, because I could talk for hours on end about Schwab. But this is a book that has quite a large cast, but central to it are two young women, and one of them definitely, you can see how she's coming into her power and being very unapologetic in the way that she is coming into her power. But there are also quite a lot of female characters that are just completely unapologetic and very badass that I just love about this book. The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson, I 100% cannot tell you pretty much anything about this book. It is the second book in a series that is a urban fantasy where witches are real and there's power struggles, there's transphobia, there's, you know, social injustice is very much a thing, but we are following this group of witchy women. And there's one particular character in this book that I really enjoyed following. And I also, there was such a satisfying moment at the end where basically a character was able to stand up to their abuser, and it was a delight to listen to because I consume this as an audiobook. By the way, Nicola Coughlan narrates this audiobook and Her Majesty's Royal Coffin. So highly recommend, if you can get your hands on the audiobook for this series, do it because it's worth it. We have another V Schwab on this list. Are we surprised? It is me after all, and that is Vengeful. The primary reason that this book is on this list is one particular character whose name I believe is Marcella. And this series, this is book 2 in a series, but this series follows people who have extraordinary powers, and the way their powers manifest is to do with their final thoughts at the point of dying. And sometimes it kind of boils their final thoughts down to the very core of things. And Marcella's power is all about ruination. You have this really cool scene, but obviously like this woman is, well, almost murdered, but you have this cool scene where it starts off as like a full sentence and it just reduces and reduces until you've got this core principle of I will ruin you, or is it even, I'm not sure if it's even that many words, but ruining is very much the core of her power, and she uses it on anyone and everything, and I love her for it. Stoneblind by Natalie Haynes is a retelling of Medusa. I think there are several Medusa retellings now in existence, and it's quite nice to see a different perspective where Medusa isn't the villain. Medusa is someone who has been wronged, and I think Natalie Haynes did an incredible job of portraying Medusa and the way that Medusa gets her revenge. Fantastic. Loved it so much. Also, this is a really snarky book. Clytemnestra by Constanza Casati. This is following Clytemnestra, a figure from Greek mythology, history. I get a bit confused. But she does not have an easy life. And it's so delightful to watch her scheme and plan so that she can eventually get her revenge for all the ways that she has been wronged throughout her life. And it is just such a brilliant moment of satisfaction when she does get everything she's schemed and planned for. I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast Is Me by Jamison Shea. This follows a young black woman who is training to be a ballerina. She wants to join Paris Ballet Company, but they have a very specific image of what a ballerina in their company would look like, and that is skinny, white, and, well, skinny and white. They do have male and female ballerinas in their company. So despite the fact that this ballerina is the best of her class and can outperform those in higher tiers of the company, she faces prejudice, so she ends up making a deal with a proto-god, I think. This primordial creature who lives in the catacombs of Paris, and there's blood sacrifice, and she starts off kind of hesitant to use her power, but as the book progresses, she really truly comes into her power and goes, you know what? You're not going to give me what I deserve? Well, feel my wrath. And it's so satisfying to read. An Affinity for Formaldehyde by Chloe Spencer. I believe this is the only book on this list that isn't out yet. It does come out at the end of January. This follows a queer woman who returns to her hometown to find out that her ex-best friend plans to marry her grandmother. And then it gets even freakier when she finds out her grandmother would like to do a body swap so that she can have her body and have babies with the queer woman's ex-best friend. It is a dark horror and quite horrific. I would say if you don't like cruelty to animals, this is probably a skip. Generally, it's more humans that are getting cruel behaviour against them, but there's description of things like taxidermy, and there's the implication that this person who was a vet maybe didn't treat the animals the best. But this was the kind of book where maybe I didn't root 100% with the granny, but I could not fault her for going after her goals. She may have had twisted logic, but it was so satisfying to read her just going for what she wanted. And thus ends my list. So as I said at the top of the video, please do give me recommendations for books that you feel like would fit within women's wrongs in the comments, and I will be reading and adding them all to my TBR, and I can't wait. But that is everything for today. So until tomorrow, love you. Bye.